anything we do for children in particular, but for ourselves, we want to know, does it work? First and foremost, we want to know, is it safe? In fact, the number one rule in medicine, which we follow, is do no harm. What's interesting is that parents, individuals, let's take parents first, they will not ever, that I know of, a good parent will never say, oh, here's a pill and I'm going to drop it in my child's mouth for something, unless they are certain that that is a pill that's going to do no harm. And that is a pill that is in the right, it is the efficacy of that pill, the research behind it, that this is something that will benefit my child. Ironically, and I think it's frightening, that we will go out and buy programs that have not been proven, one, to do no harm, but two, to give you the results that they claim, either directly claim or imply. I will be very honest here, to the point of possibly angering some people, but as a scientist, this is my responsibility. That, number one, it's almost criminal to do that. It is to go now, or we wouldn't do it with the body, because you got Food and Drug Administration over here sitting on you saying, we will put you in jail if you attempt to put some of these things on market that are not, at least do not do any harm, but that you cannot make claims of what they do. On the other hand, we will allow people to put all kinds of things in the mind of our children and tamper with the brains of our children. So that if you go out into the community and you look at these programs, go on your internet, any program that you see being sold to children to improve their brain, improve their this, improve their that, do one thing. Click on their research. Look at the people and the bibliographies and the amount of research, scientific backup for that information. And if you don't find it, and if you don't find that they have a whole section on research, and that they can assure you that they have made at least reasonable efforts to assure that this product will do no harm, and that telling you it will do some good, they can back up scientifically with solid studies and a sufficient number of studies that would pass the scrutiny of their peers and their colleagues. If they don't have that, and most don't, I'm sorry to say I visited 37 companies on site before I got into this area. And I came into this area from a related area, not in education so much, but with testing and the type of things we use. I'm a psychologist and neuroscientist, and that was my area. And when I went out there thinking, well, all these companies that are out there selling these things to improve, to the schools in particular, to improve the brains and minds and learning ability of our youth, 37 of those companies, I only visited 34 on site. I did the other 3 I had conversations with on the phone. I found one researcher on the whole staff. Well, our program, both sides of it, the cognitive skill online program, sensory motor, has well over 75 years of a pyramid of research behind it, where we've chipped along and found out more and more. Mostly out of psychology, because neuroscience is a little younger than psychology, but neuroscience has really contributed to saying, what do you do to the brain? The one word that all human beings should become familiar with when it comes to their brains and the brains of their children is what we have found out. It's almost like saying the excitement that was in the medical community when they found antibiotics. Well, what we have found is their brain has kind of natural antibiotics from the standpoint of fixing problems that it may have in terms of learning. And that particular term is plasticity or neuroplasticity. And it simply means that the brain is so marvelous in terms of biochemically, electrically, and all the other ways it's put together, that if it isn't functioning quite properly, it already has wisdom and direction. It wants to function properly. So what it'll do is it will compensate for you while you're trying to get the proper changes or stimulation, but it doesn't need much from you to develop itself, or even late in your life, at any time, 90 years old, if you want to improve that brain's functioning, if you will give it the proper, now understand here, proper meaning you know what stimuli in this environment to use to stimulate that brain. That means targeting areas of the brain in a special way. Number two, that when you know what the target, you repeatedly stimulate it at a higher and higher level, which is the challenge. So the formula is target areas of the brain from the environment, stimulate it repetitively, and that's reinforcement theory, and then lastly, make sure those stimulations are not boring, but rather that they keep getting increased in challenge. Everything we learn in school is that way. You start with ABCs and then you go up through all the semantic things that we learn with reading and reading comprehension, syntactics, semantics, etc. That's the challenging, the common challenging. But if somewhere along the way in the very beginning, the brain didn't get the stimulation to, say, develop areas that would allow you to learn math, that's a real different language. That's a symbolic language. And when you get into that in fourth grade, you start falling behind. Oh my goodness, we used to believe that that was it. You were behind forever, and most people, you can still go around and they'll openly admit to you, oh, I'm not good at math. Well, wait a minute, why aren't you good at math? Don't say that to your brain. Your brain can still be good at math. Now, if you catch them in school, let me give you a very positive point about plasticity, and you give it the proper stimulation and challenges from the outside, that brain will catch up. From every indication we and the related research has, that brain can catch up at 5 times the rate it fell behind. So if fourth grade students, on the average they do this, tend to fall behind, some of them, at half a grade a year in their mathematical ability. You only have to catch them 1 year, say in 9th grade, and you can pull them forward 2.5 grades on their ITBS or the other scores they use to look at your achievement in math. So the positive thing here is that the efficacy of the product can only, that is, does the product work? Is there evidence that this product works? We stand on validation. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We didn't invent a single thing. We assembled and ordered it and did check it out. It's the manner in which we pulled it together for the general population and continue to research it that I think where we've made some of our contributions. But as far as where they came from, there's over 100 years of research, but 75 years in this general area that we're just standing on their shoulders to bring this to you. But it is, the term's been kicked around, unfortunately, and misused so often, but we are scientifically based, and we have the evidence of that. Go into our site, click on research, and you'll find it. Are there other sites where you can click on research and find it? Some. Yes, there are, and I applaud them. I really do. The others, if they're just businesses, I have nothing against business, but I don't think we should be in the business of sticking things in the minds and brains of our children in particular when we're not certain that those things really, one, do no harm, and number two, really work as we think and say and promise to the people we're charging to do it, that they work. So I'm a little bit emotional on that because I think that that's what I should be, as both a scientist and a parent.